Welcome to the Live Full, Work Fun podcast. This is the show to encourage you to live your life to the fullest and do fun work that fuels your lifestyle. Hi, I'm your host, Gayla Scrivener. Every week, you'll be introduced to amazing guests, useful resources, and inspirational stories. You'll discover opportunities and perspectives to shape your version of living full and working fun. Hi there, and welcome to the show, where we explore topics that help you create your own lifestyle to live full and work fun. Today, I'm delighted to introduce to you Susan Trumpler. Susan's journey from a successful sales career in corporate America to becoming an entrepreneur showcases her expertise and passion for helping businesses succeed. With her background in sales leadership and sales learning and enablement, she has accumulated valuable knowledge about the sales skills and processes that generate significant revenue for Fortune 500 companies. For the past several years, Susan has been dedicated to sharing her valuable sales intelligence with small business owners through her coaching practice. Her goal is to level the playing field and provide small businesses with the same access to effective sales strategies that were only once available to larger corporations. Susan's passion stems from the belief that business success is not merely a matter of chance. Instead, it is the result of applying proven sales techniques and strategies consistently. She aims to empower small business owners by equipping them with the insight and tools necessary to drive their sales and achieve sustainable growth. I truly love Susan's story of how she transitioned from her corporate life into entrepreneurship. I find it truly inspiring. I am so anxious for you to hear. So let's get right into my conversation with Susan, shall we? Susan, I came across your podcast, Unstoppable Women in Business, several months back, and I liked who I was beginning to know from afar. And I am so glad to have you here with me on the Live Full, Work Fun podcast today.
Thank you so much, Gayla. I was so happy when you reached out. I get a lot of DMs on Instagram, which is the way you reached out to me. But yours stood out because it was very personal and you weren't trying to push anything at me. It was just a very polite request for, can we get to know each other? And I was like, absolutely. So I'm happy to be here.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much. I did a little bio at the beginning, but I would love, before we dive into my real interview questions to get to know you, do you have a fun fact about yourself that may not be in your bio that you're willing to share?
Sure. I am crazy about dogs. Like, I'm a real dog person. It's interesting. And I know a lot of people like dogs, right? But there's a couple dogs in my life, or a few of them, that I feel I know this is going to sound crazy, but just like soulmates. There's some dogs you come across, you're like, oh, hi, you're cute. But then there's some dogs that literally their eyes can look into your soul. And I just love being around those kind of dogs. So anyways, that's kind of a quirky little fact about me.
I love it. I love it. Do you have a particular breed that you're more fond of than another?
Anything with a poodle in it. So I've got a golden doodle right now, and I've had a Yorkie poo that I felt the same way about. Although my daughter had a Great Dane that I swear she could look into my soul. So, I'm pretty open.
I love it. I love it. Susan, I am curious to know, because you worked for Fortune 500 companies for many years. What made you transition from working for Fortune 500 companies to going out on your own?
Oh, it's a really interesting journey, Gayla, really interesting. So I went from, and it was actually a Fortune 100 company. It was a behemoth company with 40,000 employees, right? And I worked for them for almost 20 years and loved it. But I got a little, just restless and wanted to experience something a little more nimble and flexible. So I went to a smaller organization and enjoyed it there, but I literally got, they called it RIFT, reduction in force. So they got bought by a private equity group and they didn't need my position any longer. And I found myself out of work. And that was scary from someone who is used to having very regular, every 2 weeks, money deposited in your account. Thank you very much. I was out of a job and scared out of my wits. But because I had been in sales, I knew how to sell myself, I guess. I was able to piece together enough work to replace my salary. And so I call myself an accidental entrepreneur. I never intended to go out on my own. I found myself out on my own. I worked my way into being able to replace my income. And then I found exactly what I wanted to do and I started to build the business that I didn't even know I wanted until it was in front of me. So it was a really interesting journey. And I love it now. It's been over 10 years. I would never go back.
Oh, I love it. Now, what brought you into your journey to have Unstoppable Women in Business? That's your podcast title, but that's your business title.
It is my business title as well. So part of what I loved about working in corporate is that, you could do so many different things, but as a woman, you really had to fight just a little bit harder. You had to be just a little bit better in order to be seen and be promoted and be able to advance in the organization. Well, I found it even got a little bit worse as I went out into the entrepreneur world. It's like, wow, it felt like a boys' club in some ways. And I thought, what the heck? I know so many smart and hardworking women, like they deserve just as much, if not more, support and help as their male counterparts. So that's where Unstoppable Women in Business came from. It's like, come on, girls, let's do it. Let's just show the world that we have a lot to offer. So that's where it came from.
That is great. What are the services that you offer?
So my background is completely in sales and marketing. So I help women entrepreneurs learn how to promote themselves, how to feel really confident about how to talk about their business, who to talk to, and how to move the relationship from, hey, I know what you do to, oh, I need what you do and I want what you do. So I do this through something called the Success Collaborative, where it's a small group. It's almost like your personal board of directors, this small cohort group where we create the plan, your business plan, and then implement it with not only my support, but also the support of the other women in the group. So it's a very it gets lonely. Here's the only thing I can say. Sometimes being out on your own can be a little bit lonely. And so it gives you somebody to turn to when you have questions, somebody to cheer you on and support you. And it's a really unique situation. I love it.
Is this type of collaborative, is this a virtual or is it an in-person?
No, it's virtual. I do have in-person retreats a couple times a year where we do get together and hang out, and that's wonderful. It's a 6-month program, and there's people all over the world. I've had women in India. I have a woman in Australia right now. There's mostly US-based people, but because it's virtual, we can get to know so many people we would never have an opportunity to meet.
Well, when I first started out, I felt very lonely. But one of the things that I love about you is you already have this sales background. It's like, that's just part of who you are.
It is.
Me, I was like, I started college right out of high school and went into a marketing degree. First semester, I said, I can't sell anything. And so then I changed majors and I was in a different industry for 20 years. But then I had a transition from the medical field and I ended up in marketing, which is crazy. But I had this big mindset of selling seems sleazy.
Oh my gosh. I hear that all the time.
So what is the perception that we should have that if we've got this mindset that selling is sleazy, what's the shift there? What is your
Mm-hmm.
perception?
Oh, thank you so much, Gayla, for bringing this up because literally I hear that word sleazy, pushy, all the time. Oh, I hate selling. I hate selling because it makes me feel that way. And it just doesn't have to be that way. Here's the thing. Everyone who goes into business does it because they're really good at something and passionate about it. And when I ask women, what's your favorite thing about being in business? They're like, oh, especially because I work with a lot of coaches. They say, oh, I love to see my clients transform. I love to see the end result of what it is I do. Right. And they talk about it with such passion and longing, like they want more clients so that they can get them there. Right. But then when they go to sell it, they feel like they're pushing themselves on people. I'm like, wait a second. What if you were giving them a gift? What if, let's say I am a business coach that helps people grow their businesses. And there's a woman in front of me and she's struggling. And if I don't tell her about my program, she's going to continue to struggle. Like I have something that she really could use and I'm holding it back. Like, oh no, I can't tell her about it. No, I can't tell her. She'll think I'm pushy. Hell no. She'll be like, yes, that's what I need. Thank you so much. Right. So you have to think about selling as offering a gift, offering something you do really well to someone who does need it and letting them decide whether or not it's what they want right now. That's all it is. It's not reject. Oh, they're going to reject me. It's not. It's just like, hey, I do this. I'm pretty good at it. And if you'd like to, I would love to do it with you. It's not that hard.
But we get this mind block, maybe because we have experience that we feel pushed. Yeah, we've been pushed into the corner. You know, I'm sure we've all gone through networking meetings and then you literally are pushed in a corner. Just like, oh my gosh, I just want to know who you are. Don't try to sell me something.
Right. And so that's the whole trick to it. And that's why I wrote the book Over My Shoulder. Oh, that I'm in sales, because it is all about how you think about sales. If you go into it saying, ugh, everyone who sells is yucky, they're sleazy and pushy, then you will become that. And you don't want that. So then you won't sell at all. You'll just procrastinate. But if you say, hey, there's a way that I can do this that isn't pushy, that is just offering information and value to someone. And what if I give them a ton of value and just keep giving them value for free first? I'm going to give you all kinds of value for free so you can see what I'm about, and the way I am. And then when you make your offer, all you're saying is, if you liked that, I'd love to do more of that with you. Then can you feel less sleazy? Right. Plus, here's the other thing that's really important is that you are hardwired to be fearful of rejection. Your brain is there to keep you alive, to help you survive, especially the primitive part of your brain. And if it suspects that you're going to do something that would cause rejection, it's going to try to stop you from doing that. It's going to throw out all kinds of thoughts, say, oh, don't do that. That's not a good idea, right? So the more you know that what's happening is just quite natural, and you're like, oh, I know what's happening right now. It doesn't have to be that way. Let's find a different way to think about this. The more you're successful you'll be at then being able to do the tasks that can be a little bit harder. It is, what the way I like to think about it is like there's this value bank, right? So you make deposits into the value bank by offering free services, free things that people want and will take advantage of. Well, then when you go to sell something, you're actually taking money out of the bank that you already put it into. It doesn't come from the same source. Like I can put value out here today. We'll talk about all kinds of things that will hopefully stimulate new thoughts and ideas. Now, no one on this podcast is going to buy from me. That's fine. But I have put value out into the world. Stop putting value out in the world and it dries up. It's happened time and time again for me. So I'm always happy to help anyone I can in any way I can to keep putting that value bank, filling it up.
I have found that just building relationships, I may not be the one that uses all the people that I meet services. But lately I've had like a landslide of, hey, I know somebody, let me connect you to.
That's it.
It's a wonderful feeling. That's still kind of selling, right? I mean,
It is
it's just getting to know people.
revealing who you are as a person also. Like being the person in a networking meeting where I'm not telling someone, yeah, gotta buy from me. It's like, tell me what your biggest problem is and let me see who I know that I can connect you to. And that is adding to the value bank. It is, and somebody will think, wow, she's not pushy. She's not desperate, right? So that means, oh, she must be pretty good at what she's doing because she's not desperate, right? See how their mind kind of connects those dots together? And so it's kind of funny. Selling does not have to be an overt act, it can be very subtle and still work.
So, looking back about 10 years ago or so, would you have changed anything and done things differently in starting out?
Gosh, I probably would have done it sooner.
Why?
I didn't, because I didn't realize how much fun it can be. I mentioned I was in corporate for 20 years selling. I didn't even think there was another option. It was just like, you just do that, or, you change companies and you sell, right? I didn't think about being an entrepreneur. If I had, well, maybe I wouldn't have been ready for it. But if I had known how much flexibility, how much freedom you have, no one's telling me what I can do and how I have to do it. And no one is in control of my earnings except me, right? So there's so much freedom. I work from wherever I want to, whenever I want to. There's a lot of upsides to it. Yeah, granted, there are some other, there's some downsides. There's not that every 2 weeks, ka-ching, 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 but that doesn't seem to be a problem.
Well, and that every 2 weeks, ka-ching, is not very reliable sometimes, right?
No, that's it.
know?
You think you're protected by being in a corporation, but you're really not. You're at their mercy just as much as you are as an entrepreneur. So why not go out and have some fun and do what you love? That's the only thing I would change. Is I probably would have done it sooner.
I see how glowing you are about how fun work is for you. But really, what is it? The flexibility that makes work fun for you? What's the root of your funness?
All right. So the root of my funness is the fact that I am a collaborator at heart. I get a lot of energy doing things like what we're doing today. I get energy from talking to people, from brainstorming, from learning, from teaching. I love to teach. And so the funness for me is that I get to do these things that I love to do all the time and get paid for it. It's kind of crazy. So that's why I love it.
Being an entrepreneur does have its challenges. Life has challenges. What keeps you going?
I think I've got a little bit of a competitive streak in me, and I don't need to compete with other people, but I'm a pretty stubborn Italian girl. And when I say I'm going to do something, it's like, watch me, I'm doing this. Right. And there's this drive. I swear it came from my grandpa. There's just this drive that I think, and okay, couple it together, the drive for achieving and moving forward, right? Super strong in me. The fact that I love what I do, you put those two things together and it's not work. It's just like, I just love what I do. And so I do a lot of it. Probably too much of it.
If you were to give advice for somebody thinking about leaving the corporate environment, what are some nuggets of advice that you would give them?
So I get a lot of baby business owners, right? People who are starting out and they've got a dream and an idea and they just cut the ties and think they're going to make a lot of money right away. The thing I would say is be realistic on how long it will take you to really ramp up and replace your income. If you're living from your income, you really want to go a little bit slower and make sure like you can start generating revenue before you leave the corporate job, so that you don't have the pressure. Because when we're under pressure for money, and a lot of people have money stories, right? So that's always, again, just like sales mindset, money mindset's a little tricky too. But if you feel the pressure of needing money, you start doing things that are not as productive or effective for you. So just be careful about having a really great exit strategy that includes a path forward financially so that you don't put yourself under pressure until it takes time to ramp up a new business.
I love that you say that because there is so many perceptions, especially in the online business type thing. That it's like, hey, you can leave your job one day and the next day, hey, my income has been
Don't
replaced.
believe that. Please, anyone who's listening, do not watch those Instagram ads that say, oh, you can make $1 million overnight. And I can show you how to make 5 figures, 6 figures, 7 figures in 30 days. It's all hooey. It's a bunch of hogwash. There's no, those are the medicine. What do they call those guys from way back, that peddled fake medicine? You know what I mean?
Oh, I do know what you mean, but I can't think of the word.
It's not real. The only people making money are them because they literally pray. And let me just put a statement out there. It's not everyone. Okay. So don't come at me, but there's a lot of marketing out there that is fantastical, and just be really cautious when you buy anything that it's not preying on, in essence, your fears and desires, but is not going to be able to follow through, with what's really going to make a difference for you.
With the sales process, and if you get discouraged because you're trying to ramp up your new business and sales aren't coming in, should you give up?
Oh, hell no. No. Listen, if you are good at what you do, okay, if you truly are good at what you do, then all you have to do is have a good sales process in place and have a good mindset around sales and keep going. And it will work. People will buy what you have. Well, you have to have a market too. So you got to know that your ideal client is out there, that they do have so there's some due diligence you have to do, right? But if you truly believe that you have something that people need and they have money to buy from you, then all you need is a good sales process, some skills, and a clean mindset, and you can be very successful.
I love that. What worked for me is thinking of the one at a time.
One person. That's it. One person at a time.
And not think about the many, but that one person, then it just escalates. It's like that pebble that you put in and makes the ripples in the lake.
That's absolutely right.
Well, Susan, do you have any special courses or anything that you have out there right now?
Yes. As a matter of fact, one of the ones I speak a lot, and one of the signature talks that I do is based on a small masterclass. It's free. It only takes about an hour, but it really makes a difference in how you think about having sales conversations. So the name of it is Getting to Yes Faster. It's at gtyfaster.com. It's based on a little bit about what we're talking about today, the neuroscience of how people make buying decisions. So the premise is that in order for someone to be able to say yes to you, there's actually 3 questions in their mind that have to be answered, or they can't get to a buying decision. But the problem is we don't really know what those 3 questions are. Most people don't. I do. But sometimes you'll hit on them by accident. Sometimes you're not hitting on them at all. And so Getting to Yes Faster goes through those 3 questions that need to be answered so that you can be very cognizant of what they are and making certain that you do that so that you can get to yes faster and more frequently.
And how do people reach out to partake in that program?
Oh, yeah. It's gtyfaster.com.
Awesome.
Yep.
Awesome. I like to ask everyone, what is your favorite resource or book or whatever? It's kind of open-ended that has made a difference for you, either personally or professionally or both.
Oh my gosh, there's so many, Gayla. I'm a learner and I love reading. I love podcasts. Picking one is like saying, which is your favorite child, Okay, let's go personal first. And my daughter just bought me a gift, a book. It's called Personal Socrates. And I am just eating it up with a spoon right now. And it is a book of prompts to think about why you are who you are and what it is that you want to become. And the book is written in a way that you just look at these prompts, decide which one you want to noodle on, And then you go to that chapter and it's written by great thinkers in the world. So you get a little taste of what's going on in their minds. And then after you read the chapter, you can do some great journaling around it. I love that. That is always a good one. I love that one. From a business book standpoint, I am a girl fan of Donald Miller from StoryBrand. I just adore his work. I have consumed everything that he's put out there, and I love it so much. I partner with him and brought his work into my business. So you just cannot go wrong with Donald. He's a down-to-earth guy with a brilliant mind. So I love that. And that has definitely changed my business for me.
Awesome. Susan, how do we stay in touch with you?
Yeah, I'm at unstoppablewomeninbusiness.com. I'm also, I probably LinkedIn, Susan Trumpler on LinkedIn, and then Unstoppable Women in Business on Instagram. Those are probably the three places. And of course, my podcast, same name, Unstoppable Women in Business.
I love that branding. I love it.
Thank you.
Well, thank you, Susan, for being here. It's been a joy.
Thank you for inviting me, Gayla. It's nice to spend time with you.
Well, thanks for being here with me today. I encourage you to listen to Susan's podcast, Unstoppable Women in Business, and connect with her on social. All the links are right down there in the show notes. And let's continue the conversation. Hop over to Facebook and share what your biggest takeaway from today's show was in the Live Full Work Fun Facebook group. Well, thanks again for listening. And until next time, have a fantastic week. Live full, work fun.